Now, once we had achieved our ban, as I said, it was the middle of the growing season. We then had to get something in place pretty quick. So what we did was started looking at alternatives. I didn't realise there were going to be so few. I think in retrospect I was probably quite naive. I think I possibly had some idea of all of us getting out there and hand weeding. But actually, in the reality of it, I had to sit down and look at what alternatives there were. We looked at hand weeding, we looked at hot water. Then my fellow councillor, Alison, phoned me up one day and said, I've just found this stuff called Foam Stream, let's check it out. We got Weeding Tech and Foam Stream down to do a demonstration and were suitably impressed. So we actually borrowed a unit from one of their current clients and did a 2-day trial. We based the trial on the area of town that the council were using as a benchmark, the centre of town, and we treated the area that they would normally treat with glyphosate. They said that it would normally take them 2 days to treat that area with glyphosate, and we treated that area with Foam Stream in the 2 days. It was quite a scientifically controlled trial. We did it properly, I think. We took extensive photographs before and after. We charted things like weather conditions and type of surface and the length of time spent to do different areas. The upshot of which we were able to get a fairly clear picture of how long it was taking to treat different areas and how much it was costing. We then compared the results from that with quotes that we got in from our district councillor via their contractor landscape group about hand weeding, and also the use of hot water alone. Now, we did our homework, we had a little look at the figures, we thought a little bit long-term about things. Hand weeding was clearly never going to be a viable option because the costs involved are so astronomical. If you think about the man hours involved in hand weeding a whole town, then it just simply wasn't a viable option. And we looked at the difference between hot water alone and Foam Stream. We decided that on balance, whilst hot water has been used for a long time treating weeds, the science does support the use of the foam additive as having a much more efficient and longer term effect on the weeds themselves. So we then embarked on a discussion as to whether to bring in a contractor to treat the town with Foam Stream or whether to buy one ourselves, and I'm happy to say the upshot of that was we ended up buying one ourselves. Now that again sounds like a really simple, straightforward, lovely fairy tale ending, but I can't begin to describe the arguments I have had across the council table at meeting after meeting after meeting. John is smiling, John remembers it too. It wasn't easy, it really wasn't easy, and what has happened every step of the way is that councillors opposed to the change have tried to scupper the whole proceeding, to overturn the ban, to sabotage the whole process repeatedly, and are still doing so 18 months on. So my final point would be to beware saboteurs and keep abreast of changes. You know, the EFSA study, when it came in last year, I think they thought that they'd brought me something new when they gave me this paperwork, but mercifully I had kept abreast of changes and done my homework and knew the answers. I think now I can quite happily hand on heart say we have a system in our town that's working. One of the things, I just touched on this, I'll fill you in now. One of the things I was just saying, beware resistance in councillors, but also manage the change within your officers and your staff. In hindsight, we didn't do that very well. Of course, we're a small town. Our staff, our groundsmen, are not used to having to do weed control across the whole town, just a cemetery, a recreation ground and a car park, and it was a huge learning curve for them, and it was a massive change to their job description and their duties, and I think we perhaps underestimated how big a change that was and how difficult it was going to be to manage it. But I'm happy to say we have now got a system in place, we've got the staff happily using the system, it's working, the town's looking great, even though some councillors still stand up every meeting and say the town's covered in weeds. But it isn't. Thank you.